All right, so it has been a month and a half since I have taught y'all anything new when it comes to stalls, and that changes today. Today, we are going to learn how to do these gravity-defying up stalls, because there are some very, very cool things that we can do with them, yeah? Drex here from DrexFactor.com, teaching you poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain during the COVID-19 quarantine. And today, we are talking about expanding our repertoire of poi stalls. Exciting! Before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow Toys, Pyroterra Light Toys, LMF Props, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these awesome companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. So like seriously, between like editing a lot more and spinning a lot more poi than I'm used to and everything, I am having a devil of a time with my right forearm right now. I'll post a photograph in the video and everything, but you'll be able to see I have a muscle in my forearm that is super knotted up and tweaked out and desperately unhappy with me right now. So I'm trying to switch over to using my left hand as much as possible, which fortunately, having been spinning poi for over a decade now, my left hand is actually pretty savvy to a lot of the stuff that my right hand is. But yeah, every once in a while, I'll like move it in a particular way and be reminded it's like, oh yeah, that's a thing. So you're only going to need one poi today. And so I'm going to do all my demonstrating with my left hand simply to give my right hand a break and everything. But if my stalls are not as clean as they should be, the reason is because I'm doing them with my non-dominant hand here. Which, now that I look at it, actually, it's doing pretty good, isn't it? Okay, so up stalls. Up stalls are awesome. I remember when I first learned them, and these were one of those poi tricks that looking at them, I'm like, okay, this is one of those moments when we look like sorcerers and we have somehow gotten control of gravity. And it was definitely one of those hot to-do items for me in terms of figuring out how I could add them to my repertoire, because I wanted to be a wizard too. So the good news is that the theory that I outlined many, many weeks ago about how stalls work in that first video about down stalls and bottom stalls, all of that knowledge still applies here. The problem is that now gravity is working against us. So we have to change our mentality just slightly in order to make these work. Now, if you're like most people, in fact, pretty much everybody, including myself, the way you're looking at this, or at least the way you think it works, is that your job is to kind of push the poi head up towards the ceiling in order to make these happen. And when you try and do that, one of two things is going to happen. Either the poi is going to wind up going off on slight diagonals, or you are just going to miss the stall entirely. Maybe the poi will go over your hand, or perhaps it just will never get up to that vertical point. It'll look more flat and everything like you're doing a pendulum, right? So let's talk about the mechanics that actually make that stall work. So rather than working from a place where we're kind of like trying to push the poi head up towards the ceiling and everything, the thing that's going to work here for us is instead to imagine that our job is to slide our hand directly underneath the poi head. This is so counterintuitive from what we would think that this would look like. You want to kind of imagine that as the poi is traveling up, as it's traveling around a circle and everything, that your job, rather than assisting it to go up, is instead just to park your hand directly beneath it as it goes up, like sliding out to the side like that. The key to this motion is not having your hand go up, it's having your hand go to the side. It's imagining that there's essentially, there's this toy called, I believe it is the trammel of Archimedes, that basically involves 2 points tracking together, linked by a stick and everything. And that's how you want to think of this movement. So let's put this into practice. I'm going to start off by spinning my poi counterclockwise, and I'm going to wait for this moment when the poi head is basically at a perfect horizontal line away from my hand off to the side, right here, yeah? And when that happens, I'm just going to slide my hand out underneath the poi head. Did you see that? I'll do it to the other side here. I'm going to wait until it's straight off to the side, and boom, slide my hand directly underneath it. Now, you probably want to give it just a little bit of oomph as it's passing the bottom of its arc, but otherwise, your mission here is to just slide your hand directly underneath it. Remember, think that your hand is moving to the side, not trying to carry the poi head up. If you try and carry the poi head up, you're adding momentum to it, and it's more likely that something's going to go wrong. And of course, you want to make sure that after the poi head goes up, you pull your hand back towards the center. That is what is going to switch the direction that the poi head is spinning in and be able to functionally work as a stall, switching the direction for you, yeah? So these up stalls rely on the exact same visualization tool that I outlined in my first video on stalls a few weeks ago, namely our down and bottom stalls, in that we want to think of them as being places where a circle and a square intersect, yeah? I will go ahead and link to that video down in the description so you can go check it out and get an overview of what that theory looks like. Now, this is also going to be one of those moments when practicing this in front of video, say the FaceTime camera on your cell phone or in front of a mirror, is really going to help, because you'll have a good visual check to see exactly how straight you're really getting this and everything. When you get it down really, really cleanly, you'll see these moments where the poi just seem to hang there in midair for a second, yeah? Okay, so some common things that are likely to go wrong and how to deal with them. First up, if that vertical line is looking more like a diagonal, it is because you are initiating the move out with your hand too soon. That is, it's happening as the poi is passing by the center bottom of its arc rather than as it is on its way up and everything, right? You want to wait longer than you think you should. You want to wait until you almost think that it's too late to be able to catch the poi as it's going up and everything, right? Again, the visualization that you want to go with here is thinking that it's your job as the poi is going up to sneak your hand underneath it. If the poi is traveling off to the side as you're moving your hand, you're not going to get that opportunity. This can only happen when the poi is on its way up. Wait until the poi is traveling up before you move your hand out underneath it, yeah? And this is quite frankly true of all stalls in general when you're learning them. It's always going to feel like you want to initiate the stall earlier than is actually warranted. You want to wait until just a half a second later than you think is a good idea. And 9 times out of 10, that's actually going to make the stall much cleaner in the grand scheme of things. So think that as you're drilling these, and indeed any stalls, that you want to wait a half a second later than you think is actually necessary in order to try and clean up that stall, yeah? Another possibility is that you're at the other end of the spectrum and you are that rare individual that is keeping the poi spinning even as you're trying to do these stalls. What's going on here? Well, what's going on here is that you're actually moving your hand out a little bit too late. It can easily happen that our brain is just operating a half a second slower than we think it ought to be and everything. And you start moving when the poi is already past that horizontal line. When that happens, the result is that you wind up sliding your hand beneath the poi head. Now, there are some uses for this, and we're going to cover them in tomorrow's video, but if that happens to be the thing that you're encountering right now, I would say start just a little bit earlier putting that stall together, and that should probably help. Cool, so let's check out that stall in slow motion, and I will give this to you with that old visualization tool with the circle and the square so that you can see how everything lines up, yeah? Cool, so you now know 3 of the 4 basic stalls. We're going to cover the 4th one in a few weeks here because it is the least intuitive of all of the stalls. But this one is really, really helpful for learning, among other things, the antispin flowers that we're going to be diving into in the next couple weeks here, yeah? Cool. Hey, you know what makes me really happy? It's seeing people like you applying the stuff that I'm teaching. Make me really happy. Post video of yourself doing this trick or any of the tricks that I've been teaching over the course of the past 6 weeks up on Instagram or Facebook and tag me. I am DrexFactor on Instagram and I'm DrexFactorPoi on Facebook. I am not kidding. Seeing other people's videos literally brings a smile to my face, and you know, help me be happy during the COVID-19 outbreak. Show me your videos, yeah? Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Help other people discover these videos. Help other people discover the love of flow arts. If you're getting anything out of these, chances are that you have a friend that will get something out of these too, so help them find them. And of course, if you are enjoying these videos and would like to support this project of uploading a video a day during the COVID-19 outbreak, please consider supporting my channel over on Patreon, like all these nice folks did. Patreon is what is allowing me to pay the rent. It's what's allowing me to buy groceries and everything during the outbreak. It means so much to me that I am not stressing about money right now, especially because I have so many friends that are. And it is because of my Patreon supporters that that is possible in the first place. So if you have the means, and I totally understand if you don't, but if you do, please head on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and sign up. You'll get early access to all of my content, as well as a say in what topics I tackle in my tutorials in the future. I cannot believe I said that without twisting up my tongue. Anyways, please and thank you. Sweet. So tomorrow we're going to cover an application of these upstalls that is going to lead us directly into more body tracing action, as well as anti-spin flowers, which anti-spin flowers are really that big thing that I had in my head this month that I'm like, that is what I want to teach everybody. So we're going to get one of the pieces to that puzzle tomorrow. Make sure to tune in.